And give me just a minute. There you go. And there we go. I don't know if you heard the meowing at the very beginning, but someone had to go get dinner and has to get Snuggles before her actual evening meal. Oh, I hate stupid wrinkles. Yeesh. So anyway, if you are watching this after the fact on YouTube, don't forget the usual like and subscribe and the bell icon in case I have an unusual time I decide to go, I'm here! Anycubic photon. Awesome. And I am preparing for tonight's show. And tonight's show, my original plan was to have a little short Q&A thing today because I had my Kickstarter go live. But then I remembered that tonight I had a scheduled patron sculpt. So instead, I'll be doing a QA while sculpting a Lich. You know, like it says down there. Lich-Lord. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be waiting for our patron and, you know, just a couple of more people, because, you know, just one or two people really doesn't make a good audience. Got to have some people to, you know, to hear what's going on and all that. And there's our patron. It is Raymond Dwiggins. Or Dwiggins. Is it Dwiggins or Dwiggins? You know, I'm not sure. Dwiggins. Okay. Now, what's going to happen is, once we've got about, say, 4 people watching, I'm going to shift over to the program I do most of my posing in. Actually, no. Well, I got you here. Let's discuss what does he hold in his hands, because that'll determine whether I can use what I already have and just tweak it, or if I have to make new pieces. For example, does he have a crown? Does he have a staff? And if so, what kind of staff? Is he more of a wand waver? Or is he like just standing there holding up an inferno above his head? You know, that sort of thing. Grab some soda pop. Best 3D print I ever made. Okay. Alright, Fuzzbutt. Over here. Yes. Come on. Good girl. Whoever said cats don't obey commands? So a staff with a hand doing that. Okay. Alright. Then here's how we're going to do that. We're going to start by popping over to Daz Studio. I gotta learn to snap better with my left hand, yes. What can you say? And we're going to delete the base figure. We're going to load in what I call my giant base. This is what I used to make the geo for all of the giants in my new Kickstarter. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically bend forward, twist, bend backwards. And then I'm going to load in, or create, edit, create, there we go, new primitive, sphere, origin, object center, accept. Now, front view. Let's increase that scale. Okay. Right view. Let's put this right there. That's okay. Put it here and then shrink it a little. Front view. Over there. Now, go back to perspective view, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start posing this hand. I'm using this instead of my usual default because my usual default does not have articulated fingers. Actually, we need to make this a little bit bigger. Okay. And we are going to pull it out just a little. Now, we're going to bend. The individual pieces here. Bend. And what I'm doing is I'm going to take this into 3D Studio Max and use it to make the basic, the topper for the staff. And okay, that's the fingers. Now the thumb. Now, basically, I'm going to expand all. I'm going to select the hand, select invert, and then deselect the base. Okay, now I go to all. Oh, also deselect the sphere. And I go down to visible and off. The reason I did this is because DAZ Studio exports whatever is visible. So, file, export. We're going to go to Patreon Minis, new folder, Lich. Wait. God, needs to be in the new. And there. Paste. Lich. This is going to be staff topper. Accept. And then I'm going to delete him and the sphere. And then I'm going to load in my base human. There we go. Just so that I can have him ready. And then parameters, races, dry undead. And we can. That's where we will start from him. Okay. Oh, it will. It just, that's raw geometry. Before sculpting, before doing anything else. I can even put talons on it. But what we're going to do now is we're going over to 3D Studio Max. Now what we got to do, we're going to import, just for the sake of having scale, first the base figure, and we're going to object color, show frozen and gradient off, and freeze selected. There we go. This gives us our loads in the base figure for scale. And then we're going to file, import. We're going to import one of the pre-existing staves. Will it be in his right hand or his left hand? The staff. Speaking of, let me go ahead. And this is just for the sake of having something in here. Again, for proportion. Now you notice this is really big. I'm going to have to shrink it quite a lot. I want it actually slightly there. Slightly bigger than the topper of this staff, but not immensely so. Sorry about that. And hi, Citrain. Out of curiosity, we got 3 people watching. Okay. Let's hide that just for the sake of what I need to do. And then we're going to check how many edges are here. 48. Okay. So I'm going to start with a 12. This is for the sake of how it will blend into the top of the staff. It's going to have... Alright. One, two. Edible poly. Select, delete, and loop. Okay, but which will be the primary hand? Which will be closer to the head of the staff? Will it be his right hand or his left? Because I gotta have it, the way things work with 3D, I've gotta have one hand as the primary thing that it's actually attached. The other hand, while it may look physically attached, it's odd. 3D is weird. And then we're going to select these. Excellent. 96. Now what we need to do is deselect something down here and here. Bridge. Alrighty, and then we're going to select here. Bridge. Okay. And then make sure these are welded. Excellent. Now, loop, grow, 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 and this is going to be, no, yeah, that'll do. And now we're going to turn that off. Smooth with one smoothing group, collapse all, and then we're going to use a soft selection, just a little bit, not that much. And edge distance so that we don't affect the ball, and we're going to relax it a little to smooth out the bottom end. There we go. Collapse all. Before sculpting, that's going to be, like I said, I'm going to be sculpting on it. Okay. Anything else about the staff besides that it has this hand on it? Anyone? Do you want it to be more, like it's just a rough stick that they slap this on top of? Do you want it to look like it was finely fluted and carved? Or is it an iron shod rod? Okay, let's see, this is at 15.9, so this will be at 15.9. And while I'm at it, let's go ahead and okay. Look like bone. Okay, so a lot more organic. Like a single bone or like a couple bones tied together? Or a few bones? Maybe one bone for the top half, a joint about halfway down with what looks like a kneecap, and another bone. Okay, a single bone. That's going to be a bit rough, because there are no single bones that tall and thin. How to do that? Okay, that. What we'll do is, the problem is that we'll end up making it look almost phallic. Let's see. What we'll do is, we'll do it when it comes time to do the actual carving, sculpting. So, for right now, we're just going to make it a simple staff. 1, 2, connect, 2, 1, okay. For right now, except for right now, this will look like just a simple staff, but when we go to sculpting, we'll start making it look more organic and more like it was carved into the shape of a bone. We're going to take this, attach this, and we're going to rotate it 45 degrees. Oh, there. There. Oh, 5 more degrees needed. There we go. Now, export selected, choosing OBJ format, and going to the directory for the Patreon. Lich staff. Done. Now, is there anything else he needs, like any other props? Meanwhile, we're going to go ahead and pop over to here. I'm going to load in a basic staff and then delete it just to have his hand posed properly. And then I'm going to file, import, Sculpt Miniatures, Patreon Minis, new Lich Staff. Back view, just make sure I've got this proper. There. Then I'm going to parent it to the right hand. Excellent. And back to perspective view. You'll notice that he's already mostly desiccated in appearance. There would be other further details to do once we get it into ZBrush, such as turning the eyes into full-on inverted eye socket bits. Okay, I'm assuming he's wearing a robe of some kind. Would that be accurate? There we go. No. That's not gonna work. I'll just worry about it when I get in there. Okay. Now. So he doesn't have a crown. He doesn't have the helmet. He doesn't have... Does he have a mantle of some kind? On top of the robe? No kind of armor of any kind? I'm hiding the staff and the robe. I'm not deleting them so that we can do the basic posing. Okay. Pardon me for a second, because what I'm getting ready to do is I'm getting ready to go and stand up and take the pose that we're wanting to give this guy. Okay, a crown. That brings us back over to here, because now I have to make a crown for him. Unfreeze all. Cylinder. The crown will be mostly sculpted. It won't be done in here. X0. Let's increase the diameter a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of these and delete them. And then there is a compound object called conform. Along vertex normals, 0.1 distances, copy, and we're going to pick that to wrap to. Double poly, select the crown, invert, delete. Now we're going to select all, and we're going to extrude local normal. Actually, no, we're not. We're going to shell. We're going to turn that into a crown when it comes time. Editable poly, loop, chamfer, 0.01, and then mesh smooth. Collapse all. File. Export selected. Crown. Okay, now file, import, crown. Accept. It's going to be attached to his head. So we grab it and we drag up to head. And then we hide the crown. Just for the sake of posing. Okay. The shoulder mantles we can do in the actual sculpting phase. I was just concerned mostly about the crown. Now, like I said, I'll be right back because I'm going to try taking the pose that you're wanting. I'm assuming that you're wanting. And seeing what my body does so I know what to do to him. This is the closest thing I have to his staff. It's not exact, but it's my own creation, so hey. All right. Okay. So the hand actually wraps around. And rocks forward. Okay. All right. Put the staff over my lap, I guess. Yeah, no, I'll put it over here. No. That's a problem with staves. There's really nowhere to put them that they're not going to be in the way. Yeah. Lay it here. Alright. Alright. So, what's going to happen is first we start with the hips. Hips should never, ever be parallel to the ground or the shoulders. And the shoulders should never be parallel to the ground or the hips. I gotta refeel for the legs again. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, that's a little trick. If you're not sure how to pose a given pose, it's very often a good idea to just actually take the pose. We're going to go to front view. And we're going to make sure that we get these feet as close to flat on the ground as we can. Okay. There we go. And then we're going to bend the torso, the abdomen back just a little. No, back just a little. Side to side, a little bit of twist. And then the chest is actually going to bend forward a good bit. And side to side the other way. Okay, we're going to pin the feet because I'm seeing a drama problem. We're then going to lock the side to side on the calves. And we're going to select the hip. We want it a bit more. Oh. Shins also need to have a minimum bend of 0. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to go down and over. And then we're going to bend back a little bit more. Abdomen can go side to side a little bit. So we can have the chest go side to side a little bit more. And bend. It's abdomen. Okay. Then this collar. Yes, the collar. Gonna bend up and twist forward a little bit. Now we're going to make the staff visible just so that we can pose this. Alright. Side to side at the neck. Bend forward a little. Okay. And then I'm going to twist. We're going back to the front view to make sure that when all is said and done, the staff ends up on the ground. Okay, we're going to pin the chest. Going to select the hand. Forearm, lock the side to side. And minimum bend of 0. So that we can start doing this. We're going to oh, no. we're getting the staff into the right place. It's going to take a few. No, don't do that. Ah. Untwist. Unbend. A bit more side to side. As you can see, sometimes it's a little tricky getting just the right angle. Ah. And then we're just going to slide this down like that. Okay. Excuse me. Let's instead go to the hip and pin that. What's wrong? It's not liking to go that... No! It's not liking to go that direction. Okay, let's reduce some of the side to side. There, it's a little bit better. We need to twist this hand. We need to bend the elbow a bit more. Yeah. Okay, let's bring it down just a hair. Now we pin the chest, unpin the hip, and we gotta move this arm. Okay, so now it's gonna kind of drag it forward. And then just to pose the hand in the right spot, we're gonna go ahead and add in a left-handed weapon. We are then going to take this left-handed weapon and delete it. Now, we're going to twist that. Twist that. And all that's left is to side to side. There. Okay. Just to show what it looks like with the robe and crown. There we have our basic pose for our Lich. By the way, if y'all can, please try to stay to the end. I have an announcement to make at the end of this. So what do you think of this pose, Raymond? There's a couple tweakings I have to do, but not many. Basically, I need to untwist some thigh bits on the robe. So, our thighs. No, 32nd pose. 34.55. Mm. 10.12. That was mostly to get rid of a lot of the bend in the back. Okay, you had said hang on it like an old man. That's upright. That's going to be a lot more oomph. Okay, what's going to happen then is we're going to move everything from the abdomen to the chest. We're going to bring the abdomen forward. Oh. What? Oh, yeah. I got to unpin the chest. Unpin selected. And we need to pin the hip. Okay, so for the abdomen, we're gonna bend it forward a bit more and then bend the chest back a bit more. No. Okay, how's this? I actually need to kind of select that hand. Twist it in a little bit closer. Okay. Just to get the staff a little bit. There we go. He's a bit more upright. We can have him looking a bit more like that. How's that now, Raymond? Actually, let's do one other thing real quick. Let's go ahead and shrink the head a little bit. No, but that's too small. There we go. Live watching, okay. Oh, pardon me. Okay, so what we do is first we hide the crown, the staff, and the robe bottom. Oh, that reminds me, before we do anything else, bases. We need to know which base you want. First we have these. Now obviously there's a couple of these that are mostly sci-fi, you know, metal gratings, planetoid. On the far left there's some organic alien. But we have a magic circle here. We've got some ancient tiling up there. And then we also have fancy tiling up here. Cobblestone, grass, wood, and stone, with the far right here and the far left there being science fiction. So, I would suggest either the magic circle down here, or the fancy tile on the other page. Any preference? Magic circle, got it. Kind of a gimme, but I had to ask. There, you see the right hand works better. So we're going to file, import, bases, magic circle, accept. And then we're going to the front view, and we're going to move it to where the feet are technically inside the base, but that's slightly overlapping. I'm going to go to the right view. We're going to bring it forward. Okay, I see a problem. We need to grab this foot and kind of drag it a little bit down. There. Just a little bit. Perspective view. The staff. Okay. I'm going to bring the base forward just a little bit. Yeah, there we go. That's good. I'm going to hide the base. We're going to hide the staff again, because we got to export this in pieces. That's the way things work. File, export, body, hide the body, crown, yes, staff. Yes. Robe. And base. And then from here we switch to there we go. ZBrush. Document. No. No, we don't want to. Right. Import. And we're going to Lich body. We're going to draw it in. Click on Edit so that we can maneuver it. And then we're going to start appending subtools for each of those other pieces that we saved out. The next one is going to be the robe. Then we're going to append polymesh, import crown, append polymesh, import staff, append polymesh, import base. So for right now, here is the critter. We're going to hide the staff and crown and be working on the robe, because there's a couple things that we need to do with the robe. One of them being I need to use the move tool, a little bit bigger than this, and we're going to remember, no, need a little bit more, and turn on transparency so I can see it. We're going to grab the robe and pull it up above the foot as it's coming out. We're also going to kind of pull it up out of the ground just a little. Still going to be mostly connected, but we do the same thing over here. We're also going to kind of pull it forward a bit in places, like here. And here. We're going to pull it out of his knee a little bit. We're going to shrink the mouse and pull this up and this down. We're then going to smooth out that area there. Reduce the intensity a whole boatload. And then kind of smooth that. Now, we're going to grab back here and pull out. And then up a little, just a little. Okay. Just so that it's more robe-like and less passing through. We also need to, with a smaller brush, start pulling this in. Oh. Start pulling it into him so it blends in a bit. Now I'm going to need you to describe his robes to be a bit more than just robes. Does he have a belt around them? Does he have a tabard? Does he have anything besides the mantle over the robes? Because that's where we're going to start really doing our detailing. Okay. Now what we're going to do, we're going to smooth over the seams right here. Okay. We're also going to come in here and with a much smaller brush, we're going to sink in the eyes. Right now we're just drawing that. Then breaking up the tablet. We're going to use inflate, subtract. We're going to make it a little bit bigger, just a little bit. We're going to kind of deflate in the eye sockets. Just making them a little bit deeper. And in here too. Oh. Then merge that right there. As you can see now, it's part of him, but I need to do a lot more detailing. Okay, so basically the belt ends up being, so he's more wearing a skirt than he is a robe. It still shows the chest, then he's not wearing anything on the chest. We put a belt on, and then his bare skin up above it, the upper torso, and then a mantle on that. Is that basically what's going on? Okay, let's kind of stroke in just to emphasize these bones here. I'm going to use slash to emphasize the ribs in just a second. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to stroke, lazy mouse off. And draw size increases. Reduce that intensity to about there. So let's reduce the focal shift from 74 to there. Just enough to basically give us the impression of these ribs. I need to okay. Now what we're going to do first is we're going to do the belt. Now the way we do this is we mask off. I take it it's going to be some kind of ornate belt. Like what Warhammer used to put on a lot of their heroic types and villainous types. Really almost a pro wrestling belt. Okay, and then about like that shape. Okay. If there's nothing on the upper torso, how can there be long sleeves? I'm confused. I do not understand what you're saying. If you want the chest visible, where are the sleeves coming from? Do you mean it's a full robe, but he's got the chest open? Okay, yes to which? I see two yeses. I don't know what you're... I'm confused. Because there is a delay on this. There is a 10 to 20 second delay on YouTube. I don't know which question you're answering. Okay. Then I shouldn't have done that. Let me go ahead and... What I'm going to do is I'm going to smooth out much of this. I'm also going to have to smooth out the back here, because it would end up being, the cloth would drape a bit there. Not completely smooth out, but partially smooth out. And these can be used to draw wrinkles from, so... Alright, so what we're going to do, we're going to hide the hands and forearm on that side, because we've got to make the... It's going to be the chest. Like that far open or wider? How about comes from here? Okay. Okay. Now, you said long sleeves. Are they going to be droopy sleeves or just form-fitting to his arms? right now I'm kind of filling in areas of selection. Droopy. Okay. Droopy will be handled towards the end before we do wrinkles. I also need to hide the base. Okay. Gotta make sure that the entirety of these arms is selected. Normally I don't do it like this, but with the way his build is, I almost kind of have to. And then here. Now before I do anything, I'm going back down here to the have to inflate it a little bit more. Okay, now we're going to extract this at 0.15 or 0.015. Accept, draw. Now here we're going back to geometry and we're going to Dynamesh 128. We're going to smooth out a lot of this right here. Wait a minute. There we go. I'm going to smooth out a lot of this. Because we want the wrinkles to be from the cloth draping, not from all of the bones poking through, because they won't poke through in all the places. Okay, now we're going to grab the move brush, make it much bigger, and grab and move down. Okay, now we're going to shrink it a little bit just to pull this up. We're going to smooth it. Alright. And then here, let it kind of hang down. Okay. We're just gonna kind of pull this down because it would wrinkle back down at the towards the elbow. There we go. Now we're going to shrink this. I'm going to make sure that we pull out the chest. Okay. And then pull this down to there. Okay, and then okay. There we go. We got his sleeves. We need to fill in the sleeves later, but for right now they're good. And then we're going to wrinkle them. Okay, now we're going to hide. No, we're not going to hide it. Yeah, we kind of have to. The mantle. Okay. Any explicit bits on... Ow! Alright, hold on. I don't need this here anymore. I'm putting the staff up. I'll be right back. What are you looking at? Really? Okay, the mantle. How do you want the mantle to look? I have the top robe turned off right now so I can do the mantle. So, I mean, there's so many different things that could be a mantle, up to and including the fur shoulder piece that the Starks wear in Game of Thrones. Actually, while I'm thinking about it, and while you're thinking about it, there's one other thing I can do. I'm going to use inflate to close off the mouth. Just for the sake of closing it, I'm going to smooth it out here in a second. Okay, now I smooth out that area because I'm going to be drawing on a skull grin, which really wouldn't work with the way the lips were at the time. Since this is an ancient lich. So we're going to be using the slash tool, much smaller size, but deeper. Okay. Now we're going to start from here. Come around. And then I draw on. It's not going to look as good yet. Had to do that to refine things. And inflate. And then using slash again, it's going to draw in that. Okay, frame out. Okay, hello Taylor. Okay, something like that we need to go back to 3D Studio Max for, because that's something that I can't exactly just sculpt straight out of this. Wow, this is getting a lot more than I expected. Definitely a lot more than I expected. Let me smooth that out. That's not a mantle, that's a, and that, like you're saying, that's practically a series. Alright, I'm trying to picture that. It just... Golden skulls. What does that mean? you're doing that, I'm going to mantle my spooky shaman with a necklace with an eye pendant. Well, it'll be an orb. You'd have to paint it as an eye. Because that's a bit small. The spooky shaman. Where did I put the spooky shaman? I'm trying to remember. Okay, here's the spooky shaman. Alright. Okay. So more of a drape over the shoulders, kind of ratty and rotting. Okay. Also, while I'm thinking about it, let me go ahead and hide that. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, what we're gonna do? Let's get this going. Let's bring this around kind of high. And it's gonna come that way and then down. And it's gonna come that way and then down. Okay. We're gonna kind of just give it an angle here. And angle there. Let's make it a little bit wider on the shoulders. A bit more obvious that it's a mantle. Okay. And let's bring this down that way. And then I'm going to shrink it down quite a bit. And we're going to draw in a couple raggedy bits that we're going to end up sharpening. Okay, let's erase that. Hold on just a second. Okay. And then zig it. Now I'm going to just kind of sharpen out that and sharpen that and sharpen this. Make it look rather raggedy. And there. And then this like that. Okay. Now, We're going to extract this at 0.03. Extract, accept, draw, so that it goes over top of the robe. However, we need to go ahead, draw there, and dynamesh it at 256, and then we're going to use the move tool to kind of move this a little bit in closer to the torso on the bare chest parts. Because we don't want it to look like it's hugely thick. We want it to have more of the feel of ancient days and forgotten civilizations. Okay, let's frame out. Now the necklace, what I'm going to do, I have, where is it? There it is. We're going to use a quote-unquote gemstone brush to draw on where the amulet is, because it could then be painted as an eye. Okay, now this is going to, I'm going to subdivide it a couple times. And now we're going to split unmasked parts. And we're going to subdivide it a couple times. Okay, it's frame out. One of the next things we need to do is on these sleeves, I need to inflate on the inside. So we set back auto masking, turn on back face mask on inflate. And I need to come in here and with a brush about there, I'm going to just start inflating on the inside of the sleeve. The reason being is we want this to print well, and if this is entirely open, it's not going to. So like that, coupled with, let's see, there, that'll be good. It's enough to give the impression of the opening of the sleeve without really. All right, here we're gonna and then move just to kind of shrink. I'm gonna move it. I'll move topological. to really emphasize okay, there we go. And let's smooth that out. And then find a little bit more inflate down here. Okay. We wanted to solidify those sleeves, so. Okay, now. The next thing is we need our wrinklies. Ow! As I pop my wrist. Okay, so for the wrinkles, we're going to just do it the good old-fashioned way. We're going to use the clay buildup brush. I'm just going to kind of draw on the direction of most of these. We're going to come back into this in just a second, but first, you just kind of need to okay. By doing this, what we're doing is we're drawing on the direction of most of these wrinkles. And smoothing it out. Especially down here. Okay. And then what we're going to do is, now that we've done that, we're going to switch over to the slash tool, drop it down to about 12, make it a little bit bigger, not that much bigger. We're just going to kind of draw in on some of the deeper areas. Not all of them, just some of them. Just to try and emphasize their presence. Because this is supposed to be ancient, soft, really droopy fabric. And then add down to 8, down to 7, yeah, that'll do. We're going to sharpen the bottoms of some of these. Because it's still fabric, and fabric is not entirely droopy soft. It does have a tendency to bend rather, or to crease rather than gently bend. Okay, that's that for the upper torso. Now we need to do the lower torso. We're going to do it the same way. We're going to start with our clay buildup, and we're going to start drawing on our wrinkles. In this case, it's going to be starting off like that. Also, once we get done with some of this lower body wrinkling, we're going to be doing a larger scale brush for the rest of the lower body. A little bit of smooth. Okay, so what's going to happen is we're going to have a bit of a loop here. Drawing in just the basics on where they would be. And then we're going to kind of lower the intensity a lot and increase the size and kind of brush up on the top sides of some of these. Once again, to really kind of drive home just the overall shape language of these wrinkles. These lines not only will emphasize the direction that he's kind of leaning with his lower body, they'll also really carry across the feeling of fabric as opposed to like leather or currently living skin. And then we're going to go back to slash Z sub 14. And we're only going to go under the most important, the biggest, most dynamic wrinkles. Or just very basically over some of the other areas. And now smooth over that. And then we're going to switch to add and drop down to 9, and we're going to kind of get some of the tops of these wrinkles. Not all of them, like I said, just a few, and just ones that really carry across the meaning and the shape. In this case, we're going to go ahead and do the split between these two wrinkles, because that's something that happens, and we want to make sure to carry it. Okay. the next thing we're going to do is the hands. It is 9:45. Okay, not too bad. We go to inflate. We drop it to 10. We're going to, make them about that big. First things first, we've got to mark off, well, we got to mark off the knuckles. And then we've got to inflate the inner thumb here. Just to... Oh, I know one thing I forgot. Forgot to turn off back face masking. We don't want that here. We don't want you here. And just kind of inflate inside there. Alright. Now, most of the time when we do the tendons here on the hand, on a living being, we'll just draw those, smooth out the bottom, and be done. Instead, here, we're going to kind of emphasize them by sinking in, by deflating beside them. And then we're going to smooth over a little. Alright, knuckle, 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 knuckle. I'm just going to do a quick once over between each because these are, the knuckles actually need to be here pretty prominently. And then we're going to use 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to kind of draw on little knuckle bones on the side of the hand. A little exaggerated, I know, but you don't need to worry about here. So the first thing we're going to do is mark off the base knuckles so that we've moved the center of rotation for the hand, and then inflate inside the thumb. Then we're going to draw on our, whoop, too low, our tendons and deflate between them. And beside them. And then smooth. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And a quick brush over. Okay, frame out. There we go. That's what we got so far for him. Now we need to do his staff. Okay. That actually would be easier than it seems, because I have a brush for that. Let's see. Okay. Because what I can do now is go in and alright, we got that. Increase it to 20 and then just go across them, and it'll emphasize these little stitches. Frame out. And there we go. His hand is stitched back on. Now, the next thing is we need to do the staff. Because the staff needs to be really... Okay. Now, the first thing we're going to do is the hand on the staff. And as with the others, we're going to exaggerate the knuckles. Not quite that high, that's too much. There we go. No. There we go. And draw. What's going to happen is I'm going to give them talons. Okay, now we're going to use the move tool for that. I'm going to grab the front here and kind of pull it down. No. There we go. Okay. Frame. So there's the hand holding the orb. The orb can be painted as an eye. Now we're going to turn it into a bone. And the way we're going to do this is with the clay buildup tool. A little bit higher intensity. We're going to keep it at this. We're going to just kind of build up here. We're also going to kind of just add in some random bit shape deformations just to give it more of an organic look. And down here at the bottom, with the base on, we're going to build up. Actually, no, we're not going to do that yet. We're going to swell it. We're going to use inflate. To build up this way. Frame out. There we go. We're going to subdivide it a little bit more and smooth it out. Now we need the crown. Alright, now here comes the big question. The crown. What style of crown? Does it have spikes? Does it have fangs? What's it got? For example, what I can do, just as a sample, shrink this down, I can sit here and pull up. That's a bit too small. Pull up points. And then sculpt them into like finger bones or fingers. And then like grab here and pull down. No. Grab here and pull down. Okay, and a gem in the middle. Okay, let's go back to insert gemstone. And let's make it this way. It's pretty clear. And we go to subtool and split unmasked parts. Go to the gem and subdivide it a couple times. Now when we go to the base, this is what we have as our lich at this point in time. So what do you think? Have an eye in the left socket. Okay, that's not too hard. That's all I got to do is just come in here, scroll up to the body, zoom in, and inflate. Shrink it down, and then just a little bit. There, the left eye has a socket. We're really coming close here, you realize. Anyway, one other thing I need to do real quick, it's something that I only have to do to the base, and it's something I always will have to do to the base. Because these were decimated for the purposes of putting them up on Thingiverse, they are all already pre-decimated. It would end up weird if I didn't do what I'm about to do. Okay, there we go. Alright, what I'm going to do with the wood grain, where is it? Rake. There we go. I'm going to use what's called a rake brush. And I'm only going to do it on the staff parts. I'm going to make it like the upper portion has been polished. Sure this comes out right. Oh, now we want it sub and not so strong. And just some. There we go. That was a nice, quick, easy. Oh, a little bit here. And then let's turn everything back on. There we go. Bit of a wood grain to the staff. Some areas a little bit extreme. And there we go. Yep. Now, as I said before, for the next week, Raymond, only you and I will have the STLs from this. But a week from today, it's going to be going into the patron file vault. suggest if they are going to be using it to represent a specific entity, you might want to print it at about 150 to 200%. Make them huge, make them big, threatening, scary. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to start merging down. We're going to be combining it all into one object, one subtool. And now that it is, we have to dynamesh it. We're going to dynamesh it 124. And I'm going to be putting the tablet up. Alright. So, it's now sitting at 3,024,000 triangles. And it is a single solid surface. Now, one thing I'm going to do before we do anything else is these inner sleeves. I'm going to smooth them out just a little, because they got pretty heavily distorted in the inflation. Okay. Now, we have our boy. The next thing that we do is we need to decimate him, because 3 million polygons is not going to do well in most slicers. So we go to Z plugin, click that little button to bring it up over here. Decimation master. Now these are pretty heavily detailed in terms of wrinklies and bits, so we're going to make them 100,000 triangles and 50,000 points. I click that button. It's going to go through analyzing mesh, then a yellow bar is going to start going across, and hopefully it'll get all the way up to 100% without going computing please wait. There it goes at 5, 10, etc. And 30. The people bow and pray to the neon god. And looks like it's going to succeed. It's at 70 now. And excellent. It's going to work. It's not going to give me that stupid calculating or computing please wait. Reordering. Writing file to disk, and instead of 3.024 million polygons, we have, come on, 100,241 triangles. And it's really hard to notice when it suddenly jumped, unless you zoom in. And now you can see that it's got a... What happens is, in areas like this part of the mantle, it has large triangles, but, as another example, the seam of the eye socket here has small triangles. It calculates, and then on the bottom it's got very big. Calculates where it can afford to put big ones and where it has to put small ones. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and export this as Lich-Lord figure. And then here in about, as soon as the show is done, I'm going to be going through and making sure that it's cleaned up, that there's no holes in the mesh anywhere, converting it from OBJ to STL, and doing a render of it. Then I would like you to DM me your email address, please, Raymond, and then I will email you the render, the OBJ file, and the STL. The reason I'm including the OBJ file is that a lot of programs that that people use to modify their figures often find it easier to import OBJ. The hardest parts for FDM for this figure, I can tell you right now, are going to be the sleeves. You got to make certain the bottom of both sleeves have supports. If Cura doesn't put supports there, erase the supports, move the figure on the bed ever so slightly, and try again. Because the supports are actually based on the size of the support and the location of it. It's a grid default. Exactly, Raymond. Just DM me on Discord your email address. Now, it is 10:12. So let me go ahead and pop back into here. And what we're going to do is I'm going to refresh the page here so that I get rid of any lag that I may have had from otherwise. And let me give this little kitty a pettins. And I am going to stick my hand up here. I'm going to count from 5 to 1. When I get to 1, I'm going to make a goofy statement. Oh wait, I forgot to mention. Take a look down below. You'll notice there's an addition to the description. My Kickstarter's live. Yep, a whole bunch of giants, heroes, soldiers, casualties, and terrain pieces. Yep. It is gone live, and the URL is right down below. And I have a Ralph. What are you doing, little... Ah! Ralph, do you mind? Do you mind? No, he doesn't. Anyway... Yeah, so don't forget to check it out, and if you want to support the Kickstarter, please go ahead and just dive on in. Now, I'm going to hold up my hand. I'm going to be doing my, well, I wasn't going to have it go live today. I was going to wait till Friday, but I clicked the wrong button. He's purring. Anyway, I'm going to hold up my hand. I'm going to count to 1. When I get to 1, I'm going to say something goofy. And then I'm going to log out. Alright? So, let's go ahead. Oh, big old demon yawn. Let's get the hand up here. We're going to start with a 5. A 4. A 3. A 2. And a 1. Wow. Sweet little kitty.